Why do you think people talk about their exes? I'm very curious about your thoughts. Well, I'm Jacqueline, founder and creator of Discover Love Matches. And for me, I ask this question all the time about people's exes because it's my job, it's my career to understand people's path to where they are now deciding they want to hire a professional and what was their journey, what were their experiences. So I need to know, obviously, and people are very interesting in how they share. And so I want to find out from you, why do you think people talk about their exes? I have some theories I'm going to share, and I would love to get your feedback to comment below. Now, initially, when people talk about exes when it comes to dating, they tend to do it in a few different reasons. One is, hey, I've had a sex life, or I've gone out with people before you. So, I just want you to know I have a little bit of experience. There are others that want to let you know where their trauma is, that they were hurt or cheated on. And then there's others that are like, hey, I just kind of want you to know that this person is still on my mind, but I don't want to fully admit that they're still on my mind. Now, exes on our mind isn't all bad. Sometimes it's to remind us of what we really want, and sometimes it's to remind us of what we really don't want. But what is tricky is that people tend to bring exes into a conversation so much that they don't even realize that it's actually crowding the new conversation. It's so easy to talk about exes, and I love to talk about everybody's exes because it's what I get to do to learn and discover deeper about somebody. But if I was dating a client that was talking about exes this much, oh my goodness, I would just die. But you know what? They're talking often to a potential date just as much as they're talking to an expert about exes, I can assure you. And what's interesting is that people weave it into their conversations so much, they don't even realize it because their life was so intertwined with this ex. Now, this ex could have been last week, last month, last year, or a decade ago, but they're still prominently holding space in this person's life. The fun thing is to always kind of stop and think, do you think your ex is talking about you as much as you are talking about your ex? And that should get you to quite the ex conversation a little bit. But it's also really important to understand that when you talk about an ex a bunch, you refer to that ex, your potential new match is listening to you in a way that they're wondering, are you going to move on from this? Are you going to have room for them? Are you actually emotionally available because you seem to be a little enamored with the ex? Some people think it's just as simple as, oh, I ran into my ex and la da 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 da, or, oh gosh, there's a party, my ex might be there. There's different ways of saying it that can forewarn somebody you're dating so there's not an awkward moment. But then there's the other ways of like, oh, my ex loved this movie, or my ex didn't want to ever do that. I'm so glad you want to do that. It's comparing, it's making the space that, as those of you that have done my emotional companionship workbook know, that if you're talking about another person so much, you might as well pull up a chair next to you and say, hey, I made room for this person. They're still here. Would you like to go on a date with the three of us? And be honest with the fact that you are creating and holding so much space for this person that is an ex for a reason. The other part is it's very difficult to start fresh when an ex is a prominent part of it. It's almost like I would love for people to have like a little clicker in their pocket or a little marker on their phone for every time they bring up their ex on a date. The date doesn't even know you need to be tracking this, but how easy it is to do that. Now, I will say that I was just having a conversation with a wonderful gal in our agency, and she said how she brought up a little bit about her ex on her first date. He brought a little bit of his ex information up, but both people spoke of their ex in a positive way. It was part of their story, part of their journey, that they dated somebody really great, it just didn't work out. And then it left her feeling, oh, I feel positive. I understand more of where he's coming from, but he wasn't bad mouthing or talking negative about the ex. And so she felt more comfortable and more invited. Now, the way you describe your ex really shows your quality of interpretation, your wishes and your wants. So even if your ex was a douche, totally rude, mean to you, whatever, you have to understand that is still a reflection of your choices. So how much do you really want other people to know about your ex if your ex Was somebody you overly tolerated, you allowed them to treat you poorly way too much, and somebody who really didn't deserve to have your attention. And then it shows you didn't have a backbone. It showed that you were not very confident. It showed that you picked poorly. I mean, you got to be careful. You don't want to paint yourself bad because you stayed with an ex that wasn't good. Now, granted, there are situations where it's hard to get out of a dating situation that isn't really serving you anymore. And for some people, they struggle with wondering if there's still potential, so you should stick around. But you know what? All of this should be done through a professional coach or therapy or your best friend. It's not something to process with a new date. So as you start to think about things of what your ex liked to do, or places your ex wouldn't go to, or things that your ex said that just drove you crazy, or the way that your ex treated you, it's probably better that if you don't have something nice to say, then don't say anything at all. The whole adage that your mama raised you with is to stop and really think about, if somebody does talk about their ex, though, understand that that's also sometimes called word vomit, where somebody just can't seem to not say it. Kind of like if you keep saying, don't say that word, you're going to keep saying it. And so you have to have a little bit of patience. A few dates in, if they're still really talking about their ex, then it's probably a good idea to say, this is too crowded. There really isn't room for me right now. But hey, if things change and you're more ready to actually open space for a new person, let me know. It's nice to let the person know what they're doing is actually not working, and it's actually a hindrance, because if they're still processing the ex, it can be very, very uncomfortable for the new person who's like, hey, I'm feeling good, I'm excited, this person's great, I really like them, but oh, now they're talking about the ex, and I feel like I'm not that important. I don't feel like I'm a priority. I don't feel like this person's actually ready for me. They're just looking for a distraction. So give the person a little grain of salt, give them a few inches, give them a few days, let them know that this is bothering you, because I will tell you, most people that talk about their exes are freaking clueless that they keep bringing up their ex. They just bring it in. Oh, I ran into my ex. I ended up talking to somebody, they're talking about what my ex is up to. They don't even realize that they're doing it because it used to be so normal to talk about their ex when the ex wasn't an ex. So this is something that you do need to bring to people's attention. I honestly believe that people don't talk about an ex to be disrespectful or hurtful. They really just talk because that was the content they had in their brain. And when somebody gets really nervous, they're overwhelmed, they're super excited to meet you, they don't really have the processing to do it in a healthy fashion. They will often word vomit too much information. They will overshare, they'll overtell you stuff. And this is dangerous, because when you're telling it to a new person who's trying to decide if they like you or not, chances are they will not forget all of what you just shared. So take a moment before you go on a dating situation with somebody you're really excited about. If you are still talking about an ex, get a friend to help you get it off your mind, let it out, go to therapy, do some journaling, release this information in a safe environment. So when you have an opportunity for a fresh new start, you are present, you are available, you are actually excited for somebody new, and you genuinely have room for this person. It is absolutely no fun, no excitement, nothing positive when you are competing with an ex that doesn't even want to be a current. And if they do want to be a current, then you better solve that junk before you go bringing another person into the situation. Take responsibility for your past. Now remember, as you've heard me say in other videos, the rear view mirror is little because your past is to be just glanced at occasionally, but your front window is huge and ready to take in the open road. But if you don't make room, you're going to be spending all that time looking in the rear view mirror, and eventually you're going to get off path, and you're not even going to realize that your passenger has left and is no longer interested in getting to know you. So be careful to not make the ex get too much space in your life, and look forward to inviting a new person and never have to talk about the ex again, because you have fresh, new, positive memories. Now, let's keep this conversation going, because this is a hot topic. People are always talking about their exes. I know I hear it more than the normal person, but I can definitely say that when people are on dates, dates, or even in profiles, they talk about them. Like, just let it go. You are no longer with that person, and now it's time to make room for somebody amazing. And don't miss out when you get a chance to meet somebody new, a new amazing man, a new amazing woman, and you think you should still talk about your ex. Then that's not fair to either one of you, nor is it fair to your ex, because your ex really doesn't want to be in a conversation they're not physically a part of. So choose wisely, get your personal work done, and be present in getting to discover a brand new person that could be the person if you just make the right room, have the right conversation, and focus on what's happening today, who you are as a person, and where this could go in a positive direction. I'm looking forward to getting your feedback about your thoughts about talking about an ex.